Today we're going to talk about the verbs abrir and cerrar in Spanish. Abrir, which is open, cerrar, which is close. We're also going to talk about the adjectives. Abierto, which is open, the adjective open, not the verb open, and cerrado, which is the adjective closed. There's a couple of typical Spanish expressions we will get to also, and it'll be an interesting lesson. Subscribe to the channel and like this video. I appreciate it. Let's go. So abrir is open. Abrir, not a huge mystery here for the meaning. Let's just give a couple of examples. Abrimos de lunes a viernes de 9 a 6. This is we open from Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. Abrimos de lunes a viernes de 9 a 6. I'm sure something here in Spain has that schedule. It doesn't sound like a typical Spanish schedule, but it could be the schedule for something. So the abrimos there is just we open, we being the shop, the institution, whatever it is. The verb cerrar is to close, cerrar. You could say the example, cerramos todos los lunes excepto festivos. We close every Monday except holidays. This is probably a restaurant. A restaurant might be closed on Mondays because they work all weekend. However, if Monday is a holiday, they might open on that Monday and then close on Tuesday or something. Cerramos todos los lunes excepto festivos. We close every Monday except holidays. The word festivo is a holiday, a public holiday is un festivo. In the UK, they might call this a bank holiday for reasons which I never quite remember. But, basically here in Spain, we have several festivos throughout the year. A lot of them have to do with the life of Jesus or the Virgin Mary. So, the 15th of August is La Paloma, which is the Assumption of Mary, I believe. It's, ask your average Spanish person what the Assumption of Mary refers to. They may not have much of an idea, but that's a holiday, un festivo. So you could ask, ¿El 15 de agosto es festivo? Sí, es festivo. Some holidays in Spain are regional. So the other day here in Barcelona, we celebrated Lunes de Pascua. This is Easter Monday. It's a holiday only in parts of Spain, not everywhere. So, you have the conversation. El lunes es festivo? Sí, el lunes es festivo. Cerramos el lunes. Just things like that you could hear, referring to places that might be closed on holidays. Here's another example of cerrar. Cerré con llave al salir. Cerré con llave. This is the past simple of cerrar. Yo cerré. And the interesting thing here is that this means I locked the door. In Spanish, they don't have a really concise word for lock the door, but they could say cerrar la puerta con llave or just cerrar con llave. This is closing with the key. In Spain, you probably have an outer door on your house that you can only really open with the key, but you can also turn the key further to get, more locking to happen. It's a long story. Spanish architecture. Don't worry about it. So if I say cerré con llave al salir, that would be I locked the door when I left. Abrí la nevera y cogí la botella de leche. That's a sentence that you could say in Spain. Abrí la nevera y cogí la botella de leche. I opened the fridge and I grabbed the bottle of milk. That makes sense in Spain Spanish. In Latin American Spanish, you don't use the word coger because it means something completely different, something that you would not do to a bottle of milk necessarily. And I think they have some other word that they might use for nevera. Nevera technically is the freezer, I believe, but here in Spain, we generally just use it for the whole refrigerator-freezer combo, la nevera. If you want a more specific word, frigorifico could be your fridge. El frigo is like a shortened form, el frigo. They also have refrigerador, I believe, in Latin America. So that's a word that's very similar to refrigerator, but it's regional. There are lots of things that change from Spain to Latin America and Within Latin America, there's probably 20 different things you can call a refrigerator, depending on the country. In that sentence, also, abrí la nevera. That is the past simple of abrir. Abrí with the accent. So abrí in past simple with an accent over the I. Cerré in past simple with an accent over the E. There are lots of other forms. As usual, there's a whole list of conjugations. That's a story for another time. Let's talk about a specific Spanish expression. Todo pasó en un abrir y cerrar de ojos. This means everything happened in the blink of an eye, or it all happened in the blink of an eye. Todo pasó en un abrir y cerrar de ojos. Literally, that means that it happened in the time it takes you to open and close your eyes. They have a specific word for blink in Spanish, but it's not in this expression for whatever reason. In Spanish, the word for blink is parpadear. Your párpado is your eyelid. So parpadear is like just to move your eyelid, basically. Parpadear. But the expression en un abrir y cerrar de ojos is in the blink of an eye, basically, meaning something happens very quickly. Let's talk about abre los ojos. Abre los ojos would be open your eyes. I believe there is a movie by Almodovar, Pedro Almodovar, famous Spanish film director. Back in the day, Almodovar used to be considered like this highbrow artsy guy out in the US. In Spain, they don't particularly consider him to be a highbrow artsy guy. I think back in the US, anything from Europe seemed highbrow and artsy. Here, Almodovar has been around nearly forever, and I guess we have a different concept of him than you would get in the US. Anyway, abre los ojos just means open your eyes. It is the title of a film by Pedro Almodovar from 1997. It has Penelope Cruz, if you want to check it out. I do not remember ever seeing this. I do not remember if it was good or bad, but vintage Spanish cinema might teach you something about life in Spain. It also might not. I remember having to watch several Almodovar films for university Spanish classes, and afterwards I moved to Spain and I realized that Almodovar had not given me any idea what Spanish life was actually like, because it's all just kind of very strange people in these bizarre situations. Nothing in the films is recognizable from the lives of regular people, basically, is what I'm saying. Sometimes you might be ringing someone's doorbell. Here in Barcelona, we all have these doorbells where you ring a buzzer and then you can talk to the person. So, you find the number of the flat, you ring the bell, and then you say, abre. That's just open up. Hopefully the person recognizes your voice. You could say something more polite than that, but it's normal, I guess. Spanish people tend to just use the imperative, and it's not particularly rude or anything. So, abre, open up. You could say, cierra la ventana, porfi. You could also say, por favor, and that would be a little bit better. Porfi is like cute Spanish. I saw somebody the other day talking about expressions in cute Spanish. And yes, there are cute people around. I'm like a sweaty middle-aged man and I'm not that cute, so I'm not using this kind of stuff. But cierra la ventana, porfi. Porfi is the shortened and cuter form of por favor. So this is close the window. This is also imperative. Like I said, Spanish people love using the imperative. They might even use it without please. This is the kind of thing that if you're not used to it, it might really bother you about Spanish people's communication style. But they don't mean anything by it. It's just a way of speaking. Cierra la ventana. Close the window. Finally, abierto and cerrado. Abierto is open, but the adjective open. Cerrado is the adjective closed. So, as usual with adjectives in Spanish, they also have masculine and feminine and singular and plural. So, cocina abierta todo el día. You can see this on a sign. Cocina abierta todo el día. This means the kitchen is open all day. Some restaurants are starting to do this instead of, closing the kitchen at 4 p.m. and then opening again at 8. They'll just keep it open, throughout the afternoon. This happens especially in more touristy areas where there are people who are expecting to have dinner at 6 p.m. It's a problem if you're in a lot of places in Spain. If dinner time in your culture is 6 p.m., there might be nobody to feed you at that time, but you could look for a restaurant that has cocina abierta todo el día. And that would be the open kitchen, basically. A supermarket could have a sign that says Abierto de lunes a sábado, cerrado los domingos. No problem. Abierto de lunes a sábado, cerrado los domingos. That's open from Monday to Friday, closed on Sundays. Supermercado is masculine, so that's why it's in masculine. If we're talking about a shop, la tienda está cerrada el domingo is the way you would say it, because la tienda is feminine, está cerrada, feminine adjective, etc. I've got a video about that, about gender and number for adjectives. It's just something we have to deal with in Spanish. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, like and subscribe. Leave me a question down below. I appreciate your attention to these videos I'm recording, and I like answering questions from the people who watch. So if you have any questions about life in Spain or about the Spanish language, just hit me up right here and I will try to answer it. Have a great day, and until next time, from beautiful Barcelona. Bye.